Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Beyond the Dais, a podcast about the stories taking place in and around El Paso County, Colorado. I'm your host, Scott Anderson, and today I am rejoined by Sara Lobato, the Economic Development Analyst here at El Paso County. How are you doing today, Sara?
Hi, Scott. I'm great. Thanks. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Thank you. I say rejoined because you were with me about a year ago back here to talk more about Enterprise Zone and things going on in the economic development world. So I appreciate you making a return appearance. It's really great.
Yes, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Before we get into all that, though, I want to quickly add that if listeners are interested in more stories about people doing good in and around El Paso County, or hearing from county leadership about local government priorities and how they operate, you can find additional episodes of this podcast on your podcast platform of choice. But to get started today, Sara, for all those who may not have tuned into that last episode, first off, shame on them. Secondly, could you share some of the background about yourself and how you ended up here with El Paso County?
Absolutely. I am a transplant from the state of Wisconsin, and I moved here approximately 15 years ago. And my time with El Paso County started nearly 11 years ago. I truly wanted to find a role in public service and continue serving my community and see it grow and thrive.
That's really great. So talk to me a little bit about the role you're in here in economic development. What do you do in that role, and how the Enterprise Zone itself impacts the residents of the county?
Absolutely. As an economic development analyst in El Paso County's Economic Development Department, my primary role is to serve as the Pikes Peak Enterprise Zone Administrator. El Paso County remains committed to fostering a business-friendly environment where employers and workers thrive. And the Pikes Peak Enterprise Zone is a vital tool for driving private investment and job creation in economically distressed areas of El Paso and Teller counties.
So you're not only involved with residents here in El Paso County, it also stretches out to Teller County as well.
That's correct.
So how do you manage the Enterprise Zone, I guess, as the administrator? Like, what is your role specifically in operating the Enterprise Zone?
Absolutely. A lot of my role includes community outreach to broaden awareness of the program, and then also to work with local businesses as well as their tax professionals on basic education about the program and answering program specifics. And then also working with local nonprofits and their donors so they too can participate in the Contribution Project program.
Okay, so you mentioned both businesses, I guess you would call them for-profit businesses as well as nonprofit businesses. They both have an opportunity to interact with the Enterprise Zone, it sounds like. How do they do that in sort of their different spheres?
Absolutely. Well, in general, the Enterprise Zone program is managed by the Colorado Office of Economic Development and International Trade, and the Pikes Peak Enterprise Zone is administered locally by our team on El Paso County's Economic Development Department team. So the Enterprise Zone is a place-based incentive that has two programmatic arms. The first arm is the Enterprise Zone Business Tax Credit Incentive Program. This program encourages for-profit businesses to expand, create jobs, and strengthen local communities. So Colorado taxpayers investing in their businesses within the Enterprise Zone can earn state income tax credits by planning and executing specific economic development activities, including investing in equipment, purchasing commercial vehicles, providing employee job training, hiring new employees, providing employee health insurance, increasing research and development expenses, rehabilitating vacant buildings, in manufacturing and mining operations. So to earn Enterprise Zone tax credits, businesses or their tax professionals must complete a quick and simple annual pre-certification application before beginning any eligible activities. I just want to emphasize that again. That pre-certification application is very important. If it's not completed, businesses cannot earn these very valuable tax credits. And then at the end of the tax year, a business must then complete certification applications for the activities they completed. So the second arm of the Enterprise Zone program is the Contribution Project program. This arm of the program supports charitable giving to nonprofits that work to improve economic conditions of the Enterprise Zone, ensuring tax dollars are reinvested directly into our community. So Colorado taxpayers contributing to approved nonprofit organizations within the enterprise zone can receive state income tax credits equal to 25% of a monetary donation or 12.5% of an in-kind contribution. These contributions support projects that drive economic development, preserve jobs, and attract more regional visitors through tourism and the arts.
So you mentioned that you'd been with the county for 11 years. Have you been in this role that whole time?
Yes, I've worked with the Enterprise Zone program my entire 11 years with El Paso County.
So you've clearly been able to see probably some pretty positive outcomes from this program. Can you talk to me about a couple of those outcomes that you've seen since you've been here?
Absolutely. Our area has grown tremendously over the last 11 years during my time with the county. And specifically for Enterprise Zone tax credits, in 2024 alone, we saw a 15% increase in the number of tax credits earned, that dollar amount value, for businesses from El Paso to Teller County. So that was over $8.1 million in Enterprise Zone tax credits that businesses in our region alone earned by completing specific activities.
And you mentioned that some of those specific activities included doing hiring, doing training for their employees, a couple others that aren't coming to mind right now.
Yes, investing in equipment, providing health insurance, increased R&D expenditures.
So, I mean, it just sounds like that the tax credits they receive are for doing things that ultimately benefit either their employees directly or the community they're serving in.
Exactly, that's correct.
So just a win-win for everyone around. It's really what it sounds like.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, that's pretty great. So an interesting thing is taking place this year. The process of, it's called a redesignation, is going on. Can you tell me what this redesignation process is and why it's even done in the first place?
Absolutely. So the Colorado Office of Economic Development and International Trade, again, the program manager, is starting the process to redesignate or redraw the Enterprise Zone program areas across the state of Colorado, including the Pikes Peak region, as this is required by state statute. So our last boundary redesignation took effect on January 1st of 2016, and our next update is scheduled to take effect on January 1st of 2026. So the state and the Colorado Economic Development Commission must review enterprise zone designations every 10 years to ensure that they meet at least one of the following economic distress criteria. One is a high unemployment rate, at least 25% above the state average, or a low per capita income for the area that's less than 75% of the state average, or if it's a rural area, a slow population growth rate less than 25% of the state average. Additionally, the population cap for an enterprise zone area is 115,000 in urban areas, such as the Pikes Peak Enterprise Zone, and 150,000 in rural areas.
So you mentioned that this is a process that takes place about every 10 years. I'm assuming the statute is it needs to take place every 10 years. It sounds very similar to another process that happens about every 10 years that just took place here in El Paso County recently, which is redistricting for the districts within the county. How might it be similar or different to that process?
The Enterprise Zone redesignation process utilizes census data to determine that economic distress criteria for our area. So we obtain that unemployment rate information as well as per capita income and slow population growth rates for rural areas.
And one of the things that if I'm understanding correctly, please feel free to correct me because I am not the expert here. The Enterprise Zone itself, while it includes both El Paso and Teller counties, it does not encapsulate the entire space of that region. Is that correct? Am I saying that correctly?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. And if actually you look at a map of our Enterprise Zone boundaries, which is available on El Paso County's website, as well as the state's, you'll see that our Enterprise Zone boundaries here in the Pikes Peak region look rather Swiss cheesy. And what I mean by that is if you look at our enterprise zone areas, you'll see a lot of areas have been carved out so we can focus on those economically distressed areas where business growth and development is likely to occur. Mm-hmm. So you'll see a lot of residential areas have been removed so we can stay under that 115,000 population cap. And then some areas naturally don't fit that economic distress criteria if the area is thriving.
Sure. No, that makes sense. So also, just like with the redistricting process, I believe that this is something that residents can actually take part in. They can share their feedback and become a part of the process. How and when can the residents do that?
Great question. We're inviting the public to share its insight into which areas in El Paso and Teller counties should be or should not be included in our new Pikes Peak Enterprise Zone boundaries that take effect on January 1 of 2026. So we are asking folks to provide any relevant location details such as a specific address, key intersections or cross streets, or individual parcels or properties. This public input is critical to maintaining a transparent and collaborative process in ensuring the Pikes Peak Enterprise Zone meets the needs of residents, employers, and local organizations. We're asking for your feedback by May 15th of 2025 via the state's Enterprise Zone redesignation tool input form. You can skip directly to step 5 to input this information. And if you're having any questions or challenges, you can review the state's Enterprise Zone redesignation tool help guide to follow the steps to access the submittal form. And to learn more about the Enterprise Zone program and submit your redesignation feedback, you can visit the state's website at oedit.colorado.gov/EZ for Enterprise Zone.
Great. And in your opinion, why is public feedback so important to this process?
Public feedback is very important in this process because El Paso County works closely with municipalities, businesses, and community leaders to ensure the Enterprise Zone remains an effective economic development tool for the region.
And you are but one person, sadly, and you probably don't have the ability to be in all areas at all times and understand the intricacies of these specific zones and, what is needed there. And the residents, of course, do. They're in there. They understand their community. They know what they need and probably have a much better idea of what they're looking for than, other people who don't have that opportunity to be in that same space, I would imagine.
Exactly. And that's why this information is so crucial and valuable for this process.
Awesome. So we've mentioned a lot about the process and the program. Is there anything else you want to add about it that you think would be important for our listeners to know?
Great question. This is a quick overview of the upcoming redesignation process. So from now until May 15th of 2025, we are asking the public to share its feedback on which areas should be included or excluded from our Pikes Peak Enterprise Zone boundaries. Then in July of 2025, applications are submitted by Enterprise Zone administrators from around the state to the Colorado Office of Economic Development and International Trade. After that, in the fall of 2025, the state and the Economic Development Commission will review and finalize the new boundaries. That the new boundaries will officially take effect on January 1 of 2026. We'll be sure to keep the public updated throughout the process, and our office will post the latest news on the county's website and send regular email updates to the Pikes Peak region's business community. So truly, we appreciate your participation and look forward to your insights.
No, that's great. And then one last question I had while you were saying that made me think about it. For businesses or nonprofits or other entities that might be able to take advantage of these Enterprise Zone tax credits that were not a part of the Enterprise Zone before, that will be a part of it starting in 2026. How soon can they sort of get that process started? Is there anything that businesses might be able to do ahead of time to maybe prepare for something? What can those businesses or nonprofits do, I guess, to prepare themselves for this new redesignation that happens at the beginning of the year?
Great question. Once we do have the Economic Development Commission's approval on our new boundaries this fall, that'll be effective January 1 of 2026, we'll be sharing information and maps about those new boundaries that'll be taking effect in January 2026. So businesses can certainly pre-certify for their 2026 tax year ahead of that January 1st, 2026 effective date. And again, if there's any nonprofit within those new enterprise zone areas that is interested in applying for contribution project status, they can certainly reach out to our team and we can discuss any potential applications with their group.
Great. And then, the answers you're giving are so great. They're making me think of new questions. With the nonprofit, you said this contribution program. What does that look like for a resident who's interacting with that?
Great question. So in addition to the standard charitable deduction that donors receive when they make a donation to a charitable nonprofit, they receive that additional state income tax credit equal to 25% of their monetary donation or 12.5% of an in-kind donation.
Got it. Okay, cool. Well, now that I've asked you a lot more questions than I said I was going to ask, is there anything that we haven't talked about yet, whether it's about your role in the process or what residents might want to know about it that you think we should add before we close things out here?
Great question. We really look forward to receiving the public's feedback and input with regard to enterprise zone areas that should be considered or not be considered as part of this process. So the sooner we receive that information, the better. And certainly being mindful of that May 15th, 2025 deadline is very crucial to ensuring that information is taken into consideration.
Great. Well, thank you, Sara. I appreciate you taking the time for going through this pretty seemingly complex process and breaking it down for us so we can better understand it. I appreciate all the work that you do here. I mean, you've been at the county for over 11 years now. So thank you for all the contributions you've made to the county and for the residents here and being willing to share all this information with us. So thank you for being here.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Scott.
You bet. If you are interested in listening to additional episodes of Beyond the Dais, be sure to look for us on Podbean or wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.